ahead.
All right. Hi, everyone. As Jen said, Adeline is a little under the weather today, so you have your substitute teacher today. So hopefully you all remember your foundation, so it won't be too much of a difference between our instruction. So I'm going to start off just as Adeline does with a little slideshow, just as a reminder and introduction to what we're doing today, because it'll be a little bit different in terms of the type of resistance training that we're going to be doing. So give me 1 second, and let me pull up these slides. Okay, so this week for week 4, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be using resistance training or strength training to build our endurance. So for the past 2 weeks, we've been using resistance training to build up our strength. So they're similar in ways that we're using the similar exercises, but how we program them in terms of the rate or speed at which we do the exercises, how many repetitions that we do, and how we feel during and after the exercises will be different between strength training and for endurance training using resistance training. So a little bit of reminders today. Remember, your safety is #1 priority. Please be mindful of any side effects you might be feeling even prior to exercising, any fatigue, pre-existing muscle pain, any dizziness or shortness of breath. Make sure that you take as many breaks as you need. Try the modified version if you really need it. Take it, it doesn't matter. You still did the exercise, whether or not it's the modified or the full version. We will be taking water breaks. Sometimes I forget to take water breaks, and I'm human, and I'm constantly dehydrated, and my husband always scolds me. So if you feel like you need water and I didn't say you need to take a water break, take the water break anyways. And feel free to go off mute and be like, Melanie, we need water. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. And like I said, do what makes you feel good. Exercise, you should be pushing yourself, and there should be some tension in your muscles, but there should never be anything incredibly uncomfortable where you are starting to question whether or not it is working or if it is beneficial. So I leave that up to you and your best judgment. And feel free to, like I said, always ask questions so that we can kind of gauge how we can modify it for you. All right, so endurance resistance training, what is the point? So there's a lot of evidence, especially by the American College of Sports Medicine, in all of the clinical trials that looked at exercise in cancer patients and survivors, is that endurance resistance training is very beneficial for improving cancer-related fatigue, and it's actually probably the most effective method of reducing your fatigue from your treatments. It improves anxiety, feelings of depression. It significantly improves your physical function, so your ability to do things of activities of daily living, the things that you want to do in your daily life. And it's really great for bone health. So we talked about at the very, very beginning how you need an external stimulus on your bone to be able to signal it to get rid of the old bone cells and then to rejuvenate and create new bone cells to avoid any type of osteopenia or osteoporosis. So endurance resistance training is really important for that. So how do we do it? What's different than regular strength training? So we will still continue to do 2 to 3 times per week. We'll do 2 to 3 sets depending on how you're feeling and what and how much time you have to commit. But instead, what we're going to be doing is higher repetition. So before we were doing about 8 to 12, depending on your weight band and your RPE or your rating of perceived exertion. But this time we want to increase the number of repetitions that we do, because while we increase the number of repetitions, we're going to decrease the amount of weight. So the weight is dictated by your band. If you're using the lower band, and it's still pretty easy, continue to use that lower band. And if whatever band that you're using, medium or medium heavy or heavy, consider maybe trying it with the existing band, if not going down 1 level, because we would be doing more repetitions. We want to focus on bettering how you move through your activities of daily living through endurance training. And it really depends on the goal of the exercise. So for example, do you want to play with your grandkids or for 20 minutes instead of 15 minutes? So we're building that endurance to be able to do what the things that we want to do. And it's important to balance endurance training and strength training within the same week. So you don't have to do one or the other. You can pick and choose. And it really is dependent on how much time you have and really how you're feeling. If you're like, I feel strong, I want to do more heavier weights, then do the strength training. And if you're like, I want to do lighter weights, I want to move faster, and you have that endurance that particular day, you don't have so much fatigue, then do more of the endurance training, strength training. All right. So just a little bit of a refresher in terms of, I'm sorry. Yeah. Oh, I just can't see this. All right. In terms of how to progress through the weights. So Adeline has gone through this quite a bit, and I want to make sure that you keep in mind that you want to sandwich upper body and lower body exercises, meaning that you alternate between one upper body exercise and then a lower, and then an upper and a lower, or vice versa. It gives you more time to recuperate the strength and the endurance that you have in those particular muscles, so you're not overtraining and then getting tired quicker. Try not to resistance train multiple days in a row if you can help it. 2 to 3 times a week is more than sufficient. Obviously, if you want to do more and you're feeling great to do more, we encourage that, but just keep in mind and maybe journal or keep a log of how you're feeling if you're doing consistent consecutive days of resistance training. Making sure you're doing a proper warm-up, at least 2 to 4 exercises. That is to increase your body temperature so that when you start doing the heavier weights, there is a less chance of injury. And 1 to 2 stretches at the end, because we want your heart rate to come back down. We want your blood pressure to come back down and your body temperature to come back down. So if you abruptly stop your exercises, that can also lead to injury while you're recovering at home. So you want to make sure you come back down to baseline from where you started the exercises at the very end. And then to remember to use your RPE scale. So remember, RPE is rating of perceived exertion, and that's on a scale of 0 to 10. 0 is I'm doing absolutely nothing. Nothing is worrying me. Nothing is hard. And 10 is the hardest that I've ever have to work. So remember, when your RPE decreases, it's time to consider increasing the amount of weight that you're lifting and maintaining the repetition. So I won't go through the table again because I know Adeline has really hammered it into you, but that is a resource, and I think she does have that online, and if not, we can absolutely send it to you. But just keep in mind, how hard is this exercise this week? If it's still just as hard, keep your weight the same, keep the reps the same, and if it's getting easier and it's not as hard to do the same amount of reps, consider increasing your weight or increasing your reps. All right. So what's the difference and what am I going to feel differently between using resistance training for strength versus resistance training for endurance? So for this resistance training for endurance for today, you might feel more fatigued because you should have an increase in heart rate because we're doing a little bit more repetitions and we'll be moving through the movements a little bit faster. So you have a little bit less rest in between each sets. So that means that you'll have less time to recover in terms of heart rate. But that's okay. That's what we want. That's how we can differentiate between strength training and then endurance training using resistance training. You might feel some muscle soreness depending on how heavy you're lifting and how different this type of training is for you. And you may feel out of breath. You may or may not. It really depends on the person, and it depends on how many repetitions you're doing, what the weight is for you, and how quickly you're moving through the movement. So these are things that may occur and that are different from when you're using strength training, resistance training for strength, and then resistance training for endurance. All right, any questions? Speak now or forever hold your peace. No, I'm just kidding. Questions are always welcome. Okay, oh, we stop sharing? All right. If there are no questions, that means that we're going to get to exercise and we're going to go through it. So remember, this is 2 parts. So this is part 1 this week. We're going to introduce the exercise. We'll do 1 set, I believe, of each exercise. And then next week, between today and next week, I want you to practice at least 2 times if you are able to, the exercises that we did today. And we will post a handout like we do every week so you can practice them so that next week we're doing an actual 45 to 50-minute exercise program. Okay? All right. So if you're comfortable and you haven't turned on your cameras on yet, I would encourage that so Kara and I can monitor your form. If you're not, that's okay. All right. Let's see. I'm going to move out of the way. All right. So we're going to start with our warm-ups first. So we're going to do some calf raises. So if you have a chair or a wall or something to grab onto, or if you need to sit down to do it, I'm gonna angle the camera down. Perfect. So these work your calf muscles, which are the muscles, I'm trying to the camera, right here in the back of your legs. So we're going to go up for at least 2 seconds and then come back down. So at least pressing up onto your toes for at least 2 seconds and coming back down. One thing, especially if you are using something for balance, and is to keep your eyes in line with something that's in front of you. If you look down, then your body's gonna wanna go down. If you look up, your body's wanna go back. So make sure you're, pick something on the wall or something in front of you and keep your eyes on that. So let's do 10 of those. Make sure to breathe. No one's allowed to hold their breath. If you need the modified version, you can absolutely sit down in the chair, and Kara will demonstrate if you need the modified version, and you'll just go straight up onto your toes just like that if you need to sit down. All right, wonderful. I'm gonna do 10, remember to breathe, I'll keep reminding you. Good. All right, give you another second. All right, so the next one we're gonna do, we're gonna work the opposite part of our leg. We're going to work our shins and do toe raises. So you're gonna go up onto your heels and try to bring your toes up off of the floor as best as you can, up towards the ceiling. You're gonna try to hold your toes up off the floor for at least 2 seconds. You can absolutely use your chair or a table as balance if you feel like you're going to fall backwards. Remember to keep your eyesight straight ahead. And remember to breathe. We like breathing. All right. If you can do that standing, let's do 10. If not seated, the same action where you're trying to bring your toes up off the floor, but you're just sitting in a chair. Okay. So pick whichever one you like or you can do. And let's do 10 of those. All right. I'm looking. Let's see. All right. That's okay. Oh yeah, you're right. Very nice. And we're breathing. You'd be surprised how many people hold their breath thinking that it helps them. It does not. It just shoots up your blood pressure, and we don't want that, especially during the warm-ups. All right. I think we have a couple of moving bodies. We'll wait for them. All right. The next one can be done seated or standing, and we're going to do neck circles. Pull the camera up. Okay. You can, so while seated, rotate your neck slowly to the right and then down and to the left, clockwise or counterclockwise, depending on if you're left-handed or right-handed. Very nice. No need to rush through these. We're just trying to get a nice stretch through the neck muscles and get some blood flowing. So let's do 5 each side. I'm sorry, 5 each direction. You need to swing your head around. Don't get dizzy. Very good.
And if you need to modified.
Yes, and if you want to modify because you can't go in all directions, all you have to do is just slowly tuck your chin in towards your chest and then all the way back up, look towards the ceiling and hold for a couple of seconds. So whichever one feels best for you, do 5 for each direction. Yeah. Very nice. You still have some necks moving? Okay, so far it's close to the camera. Very good. All right. All right, next can be seated or standing. We're gonna do some shoulder rolls. Let's see. All right, you might wanna have you like sit this way. So Kara's gonna face you just in case. You're gonna shrug your shoulders up to your ears and then back behind, squeezing your shoulder blades together. We're gonna do 5 in that direction, and then we wanna do 5 in the forward direction. All right, remember to breathe. If you can't, if you have some impingement in your shoulders or lack of range of motion, what we'll do instead are some wrist rotations. So we'll go inwards doing 5 ways, 5 times, and then outwards 5 times. If you'd like, you can do both. If you want to do both the shoulder shrugs and the wrist rotations, they feel good either way, right?
Yeah.
Not at the same time. If you can do it at the same time, I'll be very impressed, but don't do it at the same time. One after the other. Very nice. All right. Good. There's some people finishing up. All right. Do we need water? Are we ready for some water? We're ready to get into it. Okay, Kara needs water. All right, so the first exercise, I'd like for you to grab your band, whichever band that you are comfortable using. Let me pull this down a little bit. Perfect. So Kara is going to put both feet in the band and gently pull it up around her legs until it's sitting at the top above her knees at the bottom of her thighs. All right. And you might need to rotate to the squat. Who's doing a chair squat?
That might help.
That might be, yeah. All right. So let everyone kind of get situated first. If you have your bands around your legs, bottom of your thighs. I like hands on hips. You can put your hands over your shoulders. However, I find that when you put your hands over your chest, touching your shoulders, people tend to pull their body down. We don't want to do that. So if your hands are on your hips, it prevents us from pulling ourselves down to the floor because all we want to do is go straight up and down, right?
Posture.
Right. It gives us much better posture. Correct. All right. So what we're going to do is chair squats. So the point of the band around your legs is to make sure your legs are staying a certain distance apart. So you're working your glute muscles by pulling the band and making sure that it stays in place. So Kara's going to demonstrate, right? So what we're trying to do is just stand up straight from the chair and make sure that our head is nice and tall, as if we're pushing the ceiling away with the top of our head. Perfect.
And you want to start sitting towards the edge of the chair.
Correct.
All the way back.
Right. Give yourself some leverage by sitting towards the edge of the chair. And when we stand up, we want to exhale. Remember, don't hold your breath. Perfect. And you want to try squeezing your knees out. So pushing your knees a little bit out so that you have a little bit of resistance from the band. That's okay. We're going to do 12. All right. We have a question. Having vertigo is... Oh, right. So for those who cannot do the sit and stand, instead we're going to do a single leg extension. So you're going to still keep the band, but you're going to lower it to your ankles and while you're seated, and you're going to move one leg at a time as if you're kicking a soccer ball out, just like that. Nice and easy. And you'll exhale when you kick out like a soccer ball. And you'll want to do 6 on each leg. Perfect. Who was that asked that question? Anne Marie, is that okay for you? I can't see if she's there. All right, perfect. All right. So why don't you go ahead and finish up the 12. If you've been standing, if you're seated, 6 each leg for the kick out, single leg extension. Wonderful. All right. Wall push up. Yes. All right. So the next piece, while we're waiting for people to finish up, I want you to try to find a piece of an empty wall. We're going to be doing some wall push-ups, if you can. And I think you all can. Yeah, I'm going to slide this over so you can watch Kara. So the thing to remember before we start doing any of the wall push-ups, the further your feet are away from the wall, the harder the push-up is going to be. The closer your feet are to the wall, the easier it's going to be, all right? And your hand placement for the push-up is really dependent on, we try to say around shoulder width, if not a little bit more, but it's dependent on if you have any impingements in your chest or have any stretch issues. So if you still can do the push-up, but it's still painful, you will have to dictate how far apart your hands are. And we will go over modification, absolutely. So I'm just going to show Kara really quick. We're going to do about 12 repetitions. So she's going to go slowly down and then push back up. She's going to look straight at the wall, not up or down. And she's going to exhale as she pushes herself away from the wall. And your feet should be about hip width apart to give you some stability. If you want to challenge yourself, you can absolutely put your feet together, but that is a little bit more difficult. If you need me to repeat the instructions, you can absolutely speak up, and I would be happy to repeat myself. And I'm watching everybody, so. Oh yeah, so if you cannot do a standing push-up on a wall, Kara is going to demonstrate the modified version. So for this one, it's called a seated chest fly. So you're going to start with your arms out, right, as if you're a goalpost. And then you're going to squeeze your elbows together and try to get your elbows to touch as close as possible if you can, right? Nice and easy, and squeeze as tight as you can, and then open back up slowly. And then again, same thing, squeeze and try to get your elbows to touch. If you're doing this one, you're going to do 12. If you're doing the wall push-ups, you're also doing 12. So we're all doing 12. All right, I'm looking, we're seeing a lot of very nice and squeezing. John, very nice with the push-ups. Barbara, you too. Juliet, looking great. Tina, very nice. Janine, looks good. Very good. Very nice. All right. So while we finish that up, if anyone needs to grab any water, maybe shake out their arms a little bit, loosen up the muscles, please do feel free to do so. If you did some wall push-ups, sometimes I need to rotate out my wrists because this is not a very natural position. So I tend to rotate my wrists to get them back to normal.
Can I ask on that last one?
Yes.
The height of the arm, what are we looking for with that?
Oh, so you want almost a 90-degree straight line as if you were a goalpost.
Okay, thank
Yes.
you.
Perfect.
Okay.
Yeah, very nice. All right.
Yeah, thank you for the goalpost one. That was a good one. That was
Okay,
a good
good.
because I'm compromised. I can do the wall in modification, you know,
Mhm.
closer to the my feet closer
Yeah.
to the wall, what have you.
Yeah.
And then gradually as I build up. But
Yeah.
I've been working at a gym too and
Mhm.
using those bars that comes down for your
Mhm.
back,
Mhm.
lower and upper. And I see the difference there and the difference in what we're doing.
Yeah.
All right,
Okay,
so
great.
thank you.
Yeah. All right. So we're going to grab our bands again and we're going to grab the chair again because we're going to be doing the Romanian deadlifts for our hamstrings. You want to stand or sit? Do you usually stand?
Yes.
Okay. If you want, you can take the chair. If you want, you can also stand. I like standing, but it's really up to you. So you're going to, let me push this down. Kara has looped the band around one of her feet. Make sure that it's secure to at least the midfoot of the foot. You don't want that band snapping back into your face. That has happened to me and it's very painful.
Does not sound fun.
It's not great. So make sure that foot is secure and that band is around your foot securely. All right. So you're going to begin standing tall, right? And you're going to hold the other end of the band as Kara is doing. And while keeping your shoulders rolled back, remember as if we had a stick right along our back. You can see, perfect. As if we had a stick right along our back. Okay, we're going to bend, like hinge at the hips. So as if we're pushing our butt back to touch something behind us. Right, perfect. Very good. We're hinging at our hips. Nice and straight. Using the band. If you're doing that, I want you to do 12 of those. Nice and easy. So if you're just going up and down, you got to make sure you spend a little bit of time under tension, meaning that maybe slow down your movements just a little bit. The Kara's going really good. And she's now going to demonstrate it seated. So for those who can't do it standing, go ahead and grab your chair. You got it? Okay. Same thing. You're going to wrap the band around one of your feet. Remember, it's secure. And the same thing, just seated, you're going to bend down and push your hips back and then straight back up.
Yeah. That's hard to say.
Yeah. If you need a little bit more weight, you can absolutely put both feet into the loop. if you need more weight. Yeah. But if you don't, that's also okay. I'm watching. Ooh, nice, Janine. John looks good. Jeanette looks nice. Jeanette, try not to go
Yes.
down so low,
Okay.
okay? Because your upper back is starting to round a little bit. Yeah, that's perfect. Good. So the goal, remember, you don't have to try to touch the ground with the band.
Okay.
You just want to, the point is to push your hips back because this one requires also flexibility. So if we have really unflexible hamstrings, which a lot of people do, it will take time for you to be able to bend down. So if you're touching the ground, that usually means that you're curving your back, which is what you want to avoid. Yeah, yeah, looks good. Very nice. Any other questions? Anyone feel uncomfortable, feel like they're not doing it right?
When you do the seated one, should you be
Mhm.
holding your abdominals in? Or
Yeah,
even
so
for the
usually
standing
when
one?
if you like, quote unquote, engage the core, that's what usually will keep your back straight, right?
Okay.
So they all do interplay, absolutely. Great
Okay,
question.
thank you.
Good. Any other questions? We all did 12? Just going back over. All right. How was it? Okay. Next, we're going to do some single leg extensions. All right. Yeah, you can face that way. So you're going to be sitting in a chair. So everyone grab their chair and their band. And once you grab your chair, you're going to sit towards the edge of the chair. Very nice. Okay. So for this one, it's similar to what we did before. So you're going to pick a leg and you're going to, as if you're kicking a soccer ball away. And you want to make sure that you're feeling like you're squeezing your thigh muscle here, right? So you don't want to just be kicking back and forth. You want to make sure when you extend out, you're really squeezing those thigh muscles. That's what we're working on. So
Is
we're going to
her,
do 10 each side. I'm sorry?
is her band around 2 legs or just one?
Two legs, around both ankles.
And she's sitting halfway on the chair?
She's about halfway onto the chair.
Okay, thank you.
So we're gonna do 10 each side. Remember, just try to squeeze your thigh muscles when you're doing this. And I'm gonna watch. Very nice.
I said so that's pretty much just my butt on the chair, a little bit of my upper thigh.
Yeah,
But also you wanna make sure that the anchoring leg, the foot is flat on the ground.
correct. Also, don't forget to breathe. We want to exhale as we kick out. I say this because I have seen people go blue trying to exercise. So you remember when you kick out is when you exhale. A nice little inhale when you bring it back in, and then exhale again when you kick out.
And the modified for this one is to just not use the band.
Right. If the band is too much, then you can just absolutely take it off and then use it without. And then eventually you'll make your way to the band once you get a little bit stronger. No difference in either.
Will the handout have the modification and the regular way to do
Yes,
each
it will.
exercise?
Yes.
Great, thank
Absolutely.
you.
Yeah. Great. So has everyone done 10 each side? Do we need to grab some water? I think I need water. Let's grab some water. Shake out our legs a little bit if we're feeling a little bit tight.
Is the breathing in and out. I can't get that right for the life of me. I'm always doing it the opposite of what you're saying. And I'm
You are not the
comfortable
only
with
one.
it.
When I think, so I've been lifting for 2 years, and when I think about it, I always do it the opposite of what I'm supposed to. And once I just get into what I'm doing, it just sort of, for me, works out.
Yeah, it becomes automatic. So I have been lifting for a little bit longer than that. But
Yeah.
so I always think when I'm exerting myself is when I exhale. So EX, EX. Exhale when I exert. So during the hardest part is when I exhale.
Yeah.
Yeah. It will take some time because it is the opposite of what your body is used to. So like Kara said, it took her 2 years to really start to become an automatic process. And it will take you some time as well. But as long as I mean, your heart is not going to explode the one time you forget to exhale on exertion. It's just a repeated habit that you will develop over time. It will happen.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna worry about it, in other
No,
words.
no, no, no.
Just
As
let
long
it
as you're
go.
conscientious of it and you're practicing and you're trying to remember to practice, it will come automatically.
Okay, okay.
So the next one we're going to do is an upright row. So we are going to be seated. Yeah, so we're going to grab our chairs again. This one you might need to face them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Turn it
So
inside.
Kara's going to turn around in a second. So you're going to grab your band and you're going to roll it back up to your upper thighs one more time. You can see. Perfect. Wonderful. All right. So this is called an upright row. So we're working our shoulders and our back and our triceps and biceps, really just a lot of our upper body. All right, so you're going to grab the band with both hands and your palms facing down. All right, so we're just going to grab onto the band. You're going to roll your shoulders down and back. So your nice straight posture. Okay, and then you're going to drive your elbows up and out and pull up the band. All right. Ooh, lovely. Looking really good. Wonderful. So we exhale when we pull up, right? You can hear that. And then we inhale as we go relax. I want you to do 12 of those. Remember, exhale when you pull up, and then nice and easy when you go down. Taking a look, I'm looking around. Yes, so if you need the modified because this is a little bit too hard, then instead of putting the bands around both legs, you're only going to put it around one leg. So it's really up to you what you need. So one leg or two legs. Very nice. Remember, nice and straight posture. We're trying to look right in front of us and we're exhaling as we pull up. Very good. Very nice. Oh, yeah. How are we feeling?
I feel it. I feel every exercise. Is there, when you're showing us each different exercise, is there a correlation that we should do these exercises in a certain sequence?
Yes, so traditionally what we like to do is that we try to work our larger muscle groups first because we have the most amount of energy usually at the very beginning of our exercise session, right? So we have the most amount of gas in the tank, so we want to use those bigger, more complex and difficult exercises.
Okay.
Because if we do all the smaller exercises in the beginning, we're going to run our gas tank low, and those larger exercises that require more energy, we're not going to be able to do them. Or if we do them, our form might be off because we don't have as much energy to, roll our shoulders back or keep
Okay.
our posture straight or remember to breathe correctly.
Okay.
So we tend to try to do these harder exercises first. And then we always try to alternate between doing a lower body and an upper body as we alternate exercises throughout the session.
Okay, thank you. That makes
Make
sense.
sense?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes,
good.
it does.
Yeah.
The
Absolutely.
exercise we just did is
Mhm.
what muscle is that working? The pull up one.
So we are using, it's quite a few muscles. So there's the deltoids, which are the shoulder muscles here, and there's the front, the posterior and the middle delt. There's also the triceps, which are along here. And we're also using our traps and our rhomboids in the back as well.
Wow. Okay.
What was that
Quite a few-
exercise? What was that
Okay.
exercise again with the
That
band?
is called the
we just
upright
did?
row.
The upright row.
Correct. Yeah, and that will also be on the handout that we provide as well. It's a good one, right? Yeah,
Yes, it
I like
is.
that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you send out the handout, will these all be in the order that you were going?
Yes. Yes,
Thank you.
absolutely.
That would be great.
The
Yes.
upper body, then the
Yes.
lower body, and upper body, lower body.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
we absolutely want to make sure that we're doing it in the order so you to remember as well. Okay, so that's all Adeline has for the exercises. Huh? Yeah, we'll have cool downs, but we have some time. We're only at 5:40. Would you all like to run through one more set of each exercise again? Yeah,
That's
okay.
good.
well,
That
why
way
don't-
it can be reconditioned in us to know the sequence as well.
Perfect, wonderful. All right, so the first one we did was a squat with the band around our knees. So grab your bands and, pull them up so they're right, right above your knees and your lower thighs.
Okay.
So for this one, remember, we're going to do it standing. If you need to do it seated, we'll show you the mode of modification. Huh? Yeah. So the first one we're going to have, oh, I'm sorry, you're right. So remember, hands on hips. And the objective is to go straight up and down. So we're trying to push the ceiling away with our heads. And when are we exhaling? We're exhaling on the way up. So we're pushing ourselves up from the chair. That's when we exhale. Wonderful. Remember, don't look down. Here you're going to do the alternative. So we're going to do, why don't you all do 15 of those? And she's going to show you the modification one more time, where you slide the bands down to your ankles, and you're just going to kick that soccer ball out and squeeze that thigh. And if you're doing the modified seated version, then I want you to do 10 on each leg. I'm watching. Very nice. Very good. Remember, exhale on the way up, or if you're kicking out, that's when you exhale, when you kick the soccer ball out. So remember 15. So you can, if you remember from past weeks, we're doing a little bit more repetitions. And so it should be a little bit harder in terms of your heart rate might be a little bit higher than what we're traditionally used to from the past 2 weeks. And that's okay. That's how we improve our cardiovascular function, so our heart function. Very nice. Okay. We need water. Do we need water now? Feel free to grab some water or shake out your legs if you want to relax those muscles. And we're going to alternate now to the wall push-up if you have space and can do it. I'm going to show Kara. So she's going to do a couple for you. Remember, the further your feet are away, the harder it's going to be. Remember, you're going to exhale on the way as you push away from the wall.
And we're doing,
Right, Patty's got it. If you're doing the alternative version, remember, arms at a goalpost, and you're going to try to squeeze your elbows together. And if you want to make it a little bit harder, if you're squeezing your elbows together, you want to hold it for 3 seconds together. Perfect. Squeeze as hard as you can for 3, and then relax, and then go again. Perfect.
15.
I'm just doing it. 15, correct. Great question. Where's my hand raised? Very nice. Nice, Jeanette. Very nice, Debbie. Good job, Ray. Ooh, John's got the push-up. So does Virginia. This is good. Oh, so does Jen. Juliet looks good. Barbara looks really nice. Very good. All right. Why don't you go ahead and finish up those 15? You all look so good. I'm so impressed. Remember, take deep breaths during recovery, in through your nose, out through your mouth. If your heart rate's a little elevated, that's okay. Don't be worried. Very good. All right, well, let them finish up. For those who are already finished, why don't you go ahead and grab your bands? We're going to be doing the Romanian deadlifts for our hamstrings. If you need the chair, the modified version, because you need to sit down, absolutely, please grab your chair. If not, we're going to be doing it standing. Remember, we're going to loop the band around one of the feet. It's nice and secure, so when it gets snapped in the face. Grab with both hands at the very top of the band. And remember, we're just going to push our hips back as if our butt's trying to touch something behind us. Nice straight back, and then straight back up. Very good. If you need to do it seated, please do so. And we're going to do 15 this time. Very nice. Very impressive. Right.
When
Very
should we do exercise and when to not? Like, I know like an hour or two after you eat or something like that.
Oh,
And
yeah.
and not too long, not too long. Or before you go to bed, we shouldn't do it because we need to
They
get
say,
into a
yeah.
relaxed mode.
Yeah, so they say not to go to bed because it does increase your heart rate. It can increase your heart rate, and depending on how intense the exercise is, it might be harder for your blood pressure to come back down to resting. It really depends on the type of exercise. I generally don't like to give a rule of thumb of when to do exercises. I say do them when you want to do them, when you have the energy to do them and you have the time to do them. If you're feeling it as an obligation, like, oh, I have to do it after dinner or I have to do it after lunch, it becomes a chore rather than an activity for you. In terms of the eating portion, I mean, I think that's a myth that's been pretty dispelled over time. It's not like, 30 minutes and then you can go swimming. But if you have issues with digestion, and you feel like your food might be coming up and you need time to rest and it's better for you to gauge how long you need that time for your food to settle. So there's really no perfect time to exercise. But I will say that if you do tend to exercise in the morning, there have been a lot of back and forth between should I eat before I exercise in the morning or should I do it fasting? I'm a huge supporter of eating something before you exercise, especially in the morning. You don't need to have, a whole Denny's Grand Slam breakfast, but a little bit of something in terms
Yeah.
of protein and a little bit of carbohydrates and some rehydration in terms of water, especially first thing in the morning. It's extremely important to make sure that your exercises feel correct and you have enough energy in the tank, especially after essentially fasting for, 6 to 8 hours of sleep. Did that answer your question, Jeanette?
Oh, yes, it does, but and
Okay.
two, what if you're a person sometimes who exercise twice a day due to level of stress, and what's going on, anxiety?
So I think
Yeah.
that's a conversation about the types of exercises that you need to do.
Right.
If you're
Right.
looking specifically for stress reduction and anxiety, while exercise is extremely important, but if you're finding that it's not really as effective, then that's a separate conversation I think we should have.
Okay, sure.
Yeah. No, those are good questions. All right. Next, we did the remaining of those. Yeah, we did. Next is single leg extension. So grab your bands over your ankles for both ankles, and then on your chair about halfway, such as Kara. And you're going to do 10 each leg as if you're kicking the soccer ball out. And when you kick out, you want to squeeze your thigh, and that's when you exhale. Perfect. Perfect. All right, so remember 10 each leg, and we're going to exhale as we kick the soccer ball out and squeeze our thigh. We want to keep our posture nice and straight. And while we're doing a little bit lesser weight because we're doing more repetitions, if this is really easy and you're not feeling any tension from the band, it might be an indication for you to increase the thickness of the band to the next one when you do this again between today and next week. Very nice. So remember, posture nice and straight. You want to be looking straight ahead. You want to be breathing. You want to be squeezing those thigh muscles.
And again, the modify is just without the band.
Correct, thank you. So the modify is without the band. You can take it off your ankles and you're just kicking without any resistance and just squeezing those thighs. Very good. So 10 each side. Looking good. All right. If you're done, shake out those legs, grab some water if you need it. And if not, you're going to roll that band from your ankles up to your lower thighs, right above your knees. Kara's going to change her angle and face us this time. And we're going to alternate to our upper body now, still on the chair. And then we're going to do our upright rows. Remember, we're targeting the shoulders, triceps, and the back. Want to make sure Nice and tall, we shoulder shrug our shoulders back. And we're pulling straight up. And when we pull straight up is when we exhale. Perfect. Just like that. If you need a alternative version, you would just put only one leg in the band. Just like that. And so it's a little bit lighter weight. We want to pull straight up. And if you have limited range of motion where you can't pull all the way up, just pull to where you're comfortable. So if it's only a couple inches off the thigh, that's fine. If you can go all the way up, that's also fine. But if anywhere in between is perfectly fine. Because as you get stronger, you will also get more flexible. The range of motion will come with time the more you practice it. So don't feel discouraged if you are not coming all the way up. It will come with time. Good. Remember, exhale as we pull up. Looking good. I don't think I said this, but we'll do 15 in case I didn't say it. Very nice. Nice, Kathy. Nice, Virginia. Okay. Very good. Okay. So now we're gonna, when finish up, if you want to grab some water, we're gonna go straight into our cool down exercises. Give you a second. So the first one is going to be the cross body stretch. So we'll start with our right arm. We're going to cross it over our body, take our left arm and pull it towards us, right? And we should feel it right across our arm and our tricep. You want to hold that for about 20 seconds. So stretches are really important in terms of the time that you're doing it. So you try to at least aim for 15 seconds minimum. 20 seconds is ideal. If longer, that's great. After that, after 15, 20 seconds, you want to shake out your arm and then switch to the other side. If you can't do this, what we want to do instead is a forearm stretch. So you're going to put your arm in front of you, take one hand and grab the fingers of the other, and very gently pull your fingertips towards you. You should feel it in your forearms. Same thing, 15 to 20 seconds. You're welcome to do both if you have some time. But take as much time as you'd like on these cool down stretches. And I encourage you to do these stretches too throughout the day, especially if you have a desk job or you find yourself just sitting for long periods of time. These are really good regardless of whether or not you exercise right before. Range of motion is extremely important for functionality. I think a lot of people don't know that. So I would encourage you to do these these stretches throughout the day, honestly, make you feel much better. All right, next one is going to be the neck stretch. So you're going to be seated. You're going to reach behind your head with your right hand and gently pull your neck and chin towards your right armpit, right? Very gently. And you're going to hold that for about 15 seconds. Feel a nice stretch in the back of your neck. If you can't do this and it hurts, I'm sorry?
Will you repeat those instructions, please?
Yeah. So you're going to take your right hand, you're going to gently pull your head down so it's towards your right armpit. So you feel a nice stretch in the back of your neck. If you feel like pulling your head down is a little bit too much, all you have to do is just hang your head down and let gravity do the work, and just let your neck hang nice and loose while you look towards your chest and the floor. For those who are grabbing your head, you can switch to the other side with your left hand and pull towards your left armpit for the other side neck stretch. And for those who are not grabbing, just switch to the other side and hang your head to the other side and let gravity do the work. Very nice. Good. All right. Come out, nice and relaxed. Very good. Next, we're going to do a seated hamstring stretch. So we're going to be in our chairs again. We're gonna try to go towards about halfway on the chair, halfway out. One foot planted firmly on the ground, the other one straight out with our heel on the floor and our toes pointed at an angle upwards. And we're gonna slowly go down and try to touch our toes. It is not necessary for you to touch your toes. If you can, that's great. If not, it's more about the motion of trying to touch your toes. And you should feel it in the back of your extended leg. Okay. So what I like to do usually is when I'm gonna have Kara sit up again, I usually like to take a nice deep breath, and as I exhale, I'm going to slowly go towards my toes. When we exhale and let out that breath, that actually signals our brain to relax the muscles that are holding us so tightly and allows us to go a little bit further. So she's gonna repeat it again. She's gonna sit up, she's gonna take a nice deep breath, and as she exhales, she's going to go straight down towards her toes, okay? It's very important not to hold your breath, especially during stretching. Breathing is the key to be a little bit more flexible, right? And so for those who can't do this, an alternative is to sit up and try to grab your knee and pull it towards your body as close as you can. For those who cannot bend over and touch your toes. All right. Any questions? No, looking good. Remember, it's about time, so we want to spend about 15, 20 seconds. And then you want to do the alternate leg. So if you haven't done both legs already, try switching to the other leg. Very nice.
How many of these should we do when we cool down?
Ideally about 2 per leg, 20 seconds each.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. How are we looking? All right. So the very last stretch that we're gonna do is a chest stretch. So this one will be standing if you can do it. You're going to take your arms and reach behind you to interlock your hands, just like Kara is. Squeeze your shoulder blades together while puffing out your chest, and you want to look up. Okay? If you can do this. All right? You want to hold that. Remember to breathe consistently. Don't hold your breath. If this is too hard, you can absolutely grab a wall, and this is a single arm stretch. I'm going to move the camera. Excuse me. You're going to put your palm against the wall, okay? Right palm against the wall, and you want to turn your body away from the wall. You should feel a stretch right in the upper chest. If you can't do this, stand the other one. That's another angle. Perfect. And that one's a single arm, so you'll have to do the other. You'll have to do the other arm. Okay. Is that Adeline? All right. Any questions?